Is support for Alan Chamanti and Dr. Bawumia dividing the NPP front, and then also the two of them now having a head-to-head as far as the leadership of who becomes a flag bearer is concerned?
Well, thank you. I think that, and I must make this point. I woke up early morning to come on your show. You must accord me that respect. I think that you must not allow your platform to be used to insult people unnecessarily. If not for anything at all, it's a platform for idea sharing. And I think people should be matured enough, emotionally intelligent enough, so that when even they are pushed to that point, they're able to control themselves. I take strong exceptions to what the lawyer has done this morning. It's a complete sign of immaturity. Let me move on. I am of the view that for us in the NPP, we've always gone through these processes in a very competitive, transparent manner. You know, this is not the first time we are seeing this. There's been times where we've had 17 members of our party running for these elections, and we started this very large electoral college way ahead of so many other political parties. So I don't think there's an issue of splitting the front. It's an internal elections. So Roland and I are both NPP. But of course, when we have to take a decision on Ufajantua, maybe I support Ufajantua, Roland supports another person. But that doesn't mean that there is a split. Immediately we are done with the election and we have Dr. Bawumia as our flag bearer. Everybody would come around, we'll all rally together, and then we'll go into the 2024 elections. So far, I think it's been very civil. It's been very, 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 very civil. This morning, right from here, I'm going to Asylum Down. The Vice President will be filing this morning.
The Vice President is filing today?
Yes, this morning.
But why are you going there?
Because I support him 100%. I'm a party member. And I
have all of you been whipped into line to support the Vice President?
No. I vote. I vote.
I see the MPs, etc. also.
Government doesn't have a vote. Though. It is the party that has a vote. Government doesn't have a vote. I have a vote because I come from Ikuapem North. And my vote is coming from my constituency.
Why Dr. Bawumia?
Because Dr. Bawumia is the one person that has the capacity to rally all of us together as a political party and lead us into election 2024. Dr. Bawumia is a leader that is going to be able to consolidate the gains that we have made as a government and also push us forward to be able to get the ones that we haven't been able to do. Don't forget, in coming to power, there are several promises that we made as a political party. A lot of them have been achieved. A lot more are yet to be achieved. And we are looking for that leader who would cut across the various divide, and that in spite of the challenges we find ourselves in, will be able to spur us on. He represents hope. He represents assurance. He represents unity. Leadership is not the absence of challenges. Leadership is the presence of courage and resolve, but the leader to bring everybody around and move us forward. And that is what we in the NPP believe, that we are not only looking at ourselves as a political party. We are looking at beyond our political party's internal elections. Who can win the elections for us? And then who can, after winning the elections, consolidate our gains, plug it in, and ensure that we will be able to push forward from the things we have been able to do. We said we will do A, B, C, D. We've done A, B, C. It's left with D. Who can hold on to the A, B, C, and then also help us to achieve D? Because don't forget, we've been here before. In our first NPP government, we achieved so much under President Kufuor. And then just when we're trying to win a third election so we can continue from where we are, we had challenges in 2008, if you remember. As of 2008, Ghana was called the gateway to Africa. We had the golden age of business. Banks were chasing us for loans here and there. But President Kufuor had a challenge. He encountered fuel shortages. There was a global economic crunch. There was even water shortage at some point. Remember how the Kufuor gallons came about? And so just because of
the power crisis as well.
Exactly. Just because of these two issues, all of a sudden, all the good deeds that President Kufuor had done was forgotten. And then we had to kick him out. But we saw the repercussions. 8 years down the line, every single thing that President Kufuor introduced was collapsed. And so what we are trying to achieve as a political party at this point is to say that whatever the little we've been able to achieve and bring us this far, we need to get a leader that will hold on to these things, improve upon them, whilst we pursue
And the
the
person
ones
is Dr.
that we are being, and that person clearly is Dr.
Yesterday, I
Mahmoud
was listening to you, and you said that he's the one who brought issue-based politics in Ghana. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you remember that up until 2008 elections, Roland, I mean, our campaigning was on key soap, matches, and kerosene. Those were the days where...
What do you mean by that?
Yes, I mean, political parties were not putting out the reasons why people should vote for them. They will come to our villages and say, J tomatoes, J kerosene, J key soap.
So on what basis were people voted?
Yeah, that's what I've told you. So it was a lot of inducements. We knew this. I mean,
Is that what Kufuor did to get elected?
Yeah, I'm telling you that all political parties until 2008.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Kufuor just put himself up and said that.
Yes.
Just collect kerosene and matches
until
and then
2008. Until 2008. Tell me what it says that the message of political parties in the 2000s.
And that it was Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia who came to bring issues.
Today, open your phone lines and let your viewers call. They'll be able to tell you every single message that the NPP had since 2008. Under education, they will tell you what the party promises. Under health, they will tell you what the party promises. Dr. Bawumia has brought in a new breed of politics into our space. And that's why today we are seated here and nobody will be allowed to spin propaganda. Because if you spin it, we'll face you with the reality of the day. And we've even moved on from there. What is critical for us as a political party, NPP, is that we have to win the 2024 elections. Fortunately, we've received a very weak, feeble, no credible opposition leader. That even makes it even much more, easier for us. But we, like I said, we are not looking only at ourselves. We are looking at that leader that beyond even winning the 2024 elections, will be able to pursue, complete what we haven't been able to do, initiate the ones that we haven't been able to start at all, and then protect what we've been able to achieve. I mean, if you've been able to have a government that holds onto an energy situation for 8 years, so far, no government has been able to go 8 years without a power crisis. This is the only government that has done close to 80 years. We've done almost about 7 years.
So what crisis has Nanado plunged us in?
Oh, of course. We've had a global economic crisis which has affected us. And that's what I've said. That we have done ABC, but our macroeconomic issues have challenges.
So he has plunged us into macroeconomic crisis.
No, he hasn't. There's a global economic challenge. Not all governments have experienced global economic challenge. There was no global economic challenge between 2013 and 2016. But every government in this country has plunged us into an energy crisis, except Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. So
Nana has plunged us into which of the crises? Not energy, but economic crisis.
Maybe you should mention.
Okay.
But now that we've been able to get to where we are, we have industries that are springing up. We have energy situations stabilized. We are building the human capital of our people through this access to quality education. Our health infrastructure across the country is being boosted. These fundamentals need to be protected. And then the ones that are still work in progress, we need a leader that will be able to take us in, and that leader is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
DMB 2024. That's what he says. He has
Never.
Which other nickname does he have, Dennis? DMB.
Never in our history.
It is possible.
Never in our history under the Fourth
Against John
Republic.
Dramani Mahama.
It is possible.
Never in our history under the Fourth Republic has Ghana's economy been downgraded to junk status, and that is under Mahmoud Bawumia as the leader of the economic management team. He's the one you are presenting. Never in our history have we had a vice president who has so muddied the presidency than Mahmoud Bawumia, when he could look into the face of his opponents and call them names. A vice president coming that low, never in our history. It is a notorious fact that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been declared a liar.
Why? Why do you make those conclusions?
Google now and find out. Now, there is a man who you can't trust what he says. And that's why my elder brother, ABF, says, when Bawumia greets you in the morning, you have to look up and see where the sun is before you respond. It may be in the evening. He spoke about digitization of school feeding way back. And that if children are being fed with kunkonte in, say, Saboba or in Bolga, they will sit in Accra here and see the food that they are eating. That's the kind of person you want to present to us? What did Nana Addo do to sustain this power? This power that we are all having in this room. What did Nana Addo do to sustain it? They kicked against America coming in. You remember?
I do.
And said that it was bloated. They took over power. They sent people to Dubai or wherever to go investigate. We brought in car power, 2 of them. What did they do to ensure that there's generation? And you sit here and say that it is only under this regime. When manna falls from heaven for you to pick, the least you can do is to thank the one who brought the manna.
Who brought what manna?
All the equipments I've mentioned here, John Dramani Mahama, investment in the energy sector. Let's even 2 days ago, didn't you go to, as it were, a bulk supply point somewhere in Accra here? Does he know how it came about? He has no idea at all about how it came about. It was through the hard work of the former president. So I would not waste time. Dr. Bawumia is a damaged commodity already. I know the establishment are interested in Dr. Bawumia. Bring him in, vote for him, and you will make our work very easy for us. After all, Ghanaians have his voices. All the things he said before he came to power. Ghanaians have his voice pop. Ghanaians themselves will sit in their rooms and play those things and listen. Whether this is a credible person you want to become the president. We in the NDC do not care who they bring in. The last time I sat here, I said, look, the horse is weak. It doesn't mind. It doesn't matter which rider you bring in. Once the horse is weak, the horse cannot run.
I don't know. You said what? The horse is weak.
The NPP is weak.
It doesn't matter which rider
you bring in. How can, if you have the best jockey and your horse is weak, where can he send you? So the horse itself is weak. Ghanaians want to see the back of this government. And they want to see the back of this government very fast. Prices of items. Yesterday you heard a government statistician talk about inflation going up.
It's only marginal, he says.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You know that how much that marginal increase affects somebody's pocket? And so, Ghanaians are quite aware of the performance of this administration. Majority of Ghanaians are unable to keep up. And that is the horse. The horse is the NPP horse. That is what will be used to determine who will lead this country in 2024. So for us, we don't care whoever they bring. Once the horse is weak, so be it. We are on a rescue mission. This country needs a savior. And who is better placed than John Dramani Mahama, the former president? Wherever he goes, he's the only politician whose popularity keeps soaring up, soaring. Each passing day, you have a lot of people going out there on TV stations, radio stations, and making declarations for his support. Some NPP people have regretted, and they have come on national television to make those comparisons. So I think that the matter speaks for itself. Election 2024 is going to be how Ghanaians feel in their pockets, and not about whether the establishment who are hiding behind Bawumia so that he can come and protect their loot would succeed or not. That's not what Ghanaians are looking for.
Well, at the end of the day, Mr. Jantua, it's a contest of individuals and ideas. And Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is, well, as far as we know, the vice president. Before then, was sold to us as a respected economist. And so he comes with a huge figure. But alongside also, we have Mr. Alan Chamanting. How do you think all this will play out with the CPP, the PNC are all playing within that space for 2024?
2017, did the government coming in promise us that they'll take us to the IMF? Did they promise us?
Charlie, they criticized.
Were we not in the IMF during that time?
Yes.
Did they not take us back into the IMF? Have they read the IMF report when it talks about certain sectors, education being one of them? And when they use the word exacerbated, do they understand it? Do they know what it means? And you think Ghanaians will sit and say they have done well? Please. Look, this particular election in the NPP has got to do with the Kufuor camp and the Akufo-Addo camp.
How did you come to that conclusion?
What do you mean, how do I come to that conclusion? Who is the president supporting? Who?
The president hasn't declared for anybody.
Please, then you are living in Klatkuku land if you can't see it.
Tell me. Because
It's between the Kufuor camp Chematin, Nana Addo camp, Bawumia.
Are you a member of our party?
Oh, please.
Are you a member of our party?
The fact that I'm not a member of, I have eyes to see.
Which eyes?
I see what is happening.
Yeah.
Look, look, the needle in this election has got to do with the 5 who will be rejected.
I don't understand. Please explain this.
I said the needle that would turn has got to do with the 5 who will be rejected.
The super delegates.
Yes. The 5 who will be rejected have supporters, don't they? They have supporters. Where would they vote to? Who will they vote for? Who will they vote for? It is not a foregone conclusion
That DMB will win.
that Dr. Bawumia will win. It's not a foregone conclusion.
No, go and rest.
The way Miracles is saying it, as if, hey, he is the foregone runner. It is not. And listen,
Mr. Jantua,
listen.
but we have MPs. We have individual appointees like Dennis Miracles Abuaji, MMDCEs, party chairmen, all of them declaring for DMB 2024. It is possible.
Are you going to be in the election box with them?
I'll be observing. I'll be reporting.
And will you be there? When they are casting their, will you be in that election box? It's not a foregone conclusion. And apart from the 10 who will be rejected and their supporters, where they'll vote for, Ashanti is key. Ashanti is key. And unfortunately, they weren't able to bring the 2 leading candidates together. Unfortunately. If they were able to do that, it would have been a good ploy for them, but they weren't able to do it. And they should learn from parties like the CPP. Ghanaians don't like scattered parties. They don't like it. And remember, and please, Miracle.
It's okay, sorry.
Remember, if it so happens...
Everybody doesn't make sense, you alone.
Listen, if it so happens...
Lawyer, I don't like that. You do, I'll respond to you.
What do I care?
Please.
I will give you a full message.
It's okay.
No, I won't respond to you. You are in the gutters. I won't get there with you.
You are
Please. Mr. Jantua is on the floor, please.
I won't
The
get
two of you.
into the gutters.
Yeah,
Not the
you are
two of
already-
us. It's
you are-
him.
you are already
He is
a pig.
misbehaving.
You are already a pig.
Okay.
Yeah,
Please.
have you heard?
Please.
That's what you say.
Please.
Please is what you say.
Please.
Please is what you
I'm in
say.
the gutters.
Are you saying 2? Please is what you say.
Stop
When
this.
you manage you.
Mr. Jantua, Mr. Jantua.
How do you call him, Mobo? Why? Why can't you tell him?
Mr. Jantua, please go ahead.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Go on.
See, you lose your train of thought when these things come.
Because you should talk to him. He's misbehaving. Too much this morning.
If this thing goes second round,
You mean after the super delegates?
can it? Is it possible?
That it's supposed to prune.
Is it possible? If they prune to 5, is it possible?
That they'll
Is
go.
it, yes, it can go.
After the
second
5, they have to contest for the.
They have to contest. And if it so happens that in the contestation, both leading figures get matching results, what will happen? What will happen? And you see, they've got to be able to know the person they choose, the party might want that individual. Can that person win the country? Probably that's what they are not looking at. Can that person win the country? Your party might be satisfied with that individual. Can they win the country? Can they make it easy for them to win? Taking into consideration all the challenges that have come up.
It's not an easy task. It's not
Well,
an easy
the
task.
challenges are due to COVID-19 and then the Russian-Ukraine war.
Exacerbated. Exacerbated. That word was used in the IMF report. What does that word mean? That the problem was already there. And the Ukraine and COVID came to bump it higher. Bump it higher. The problems were there. Did we not extend IMF to 2019?
We did.
And why were we covering the city when the city was kind of naked? And we're covering it by going for bonds at the beginning of every year. We have not, and they have not handled the economy right. They have not. So they should be very mindful who they bring in. Can that person win the country?
You should be happy.
Unfortunately.
You don't see that.
Wait. Unfortunately. Fortunately, for me, any government that takes us to the IMF has failed. Unfortunately. Any government that takes us to the IMF has failed. Because you've gone to ask for what? Somebody to come and look at your books and direct you as how to go. Having the IMF just left, what have they said? They've looked at the books. They are monitoring you, making sure that the right things are done. Why didn't we see the mistakes of the NDC, bring the IMF in and correct it and move forward? Why didn't President Akufo-Addo, when he came in, the first thing, and Finance Minister, the first thing that should have been said, never again will this country go to the IMF.
But President Akufo-Addo says that he couldn't have predicted the COVID-19 and the Russian-Ukraine war. I mean, that's...
He couldn't have... Didn't you hear the word I used? Which was used by the IMF. I've asked you, what is the meaning of that word?
Pre-existing.
Yeah, what does it... There were already challenges.
Oh, okay.
The World Bank hadn't he warned us with our borrowing? And when Oforiatta was borrowing the way he was borrowing, what did President Akufo-Addo say? Anyway,
Kwame Jantua.
May the best man win.
Kwame Jantua is the chair for the Political Affairs Directorate or Committee of the CPP. Thank you for joining us, Kwame Jantua. And then also Dennis Miracles Abwaje.
So you didn't call the lawyer out for misbehaving on your show this morning? You didn't?
What did he say?
He insulted a panelist in plain language. He called him a pig and called him a jaka.
Yes, because you misbehaved towards me. And I gave it back to you.
I didn't. So you should tell me what I told him. At least I've told him what he told me.
If you tell him that you will not go into the gutters with me, aren't you also supposed
that was after you haven't called him for Jaka. So you should tell me what I said before you called me a Jaka.
So if you say you won't go to the gutters with me, I should
you should tell me what I told you.
Those people who come on this program and then you talk rubbish to them.
He's an immature lawyer. I tried not to respond to him, but he's a very immature lawyer.
You are a very stupid young man. You shouldn't come onto the program and start.